This past weekend, Lucasfilm put out an official statement which redefines the issue of canon for the Star Wars universe moving forward. Basically, up until now, all video games, cartoons, novels, and comic books are not canon. Moving forward, all new books, video games, etc. will be canon. Another significant change is that Lucasfilm has definitively stated that the Clone Wars cartoons are now officially a part of canon for a while for a long time they were not. John, break down what all this means for the Star Wars movie universe moving forward.
This is rather ironic because Schnepp and I did Mailbag this weekend, and what we do now is we pre-record the Mailbag episodes on Thursdays. And a question came up about, hey, do you think Darth Maul will be back? So we're recording on Thursday, the Saturday episode of Mailbag. And I'm sitting there and I answer this question, well, the Clone Wars, I mean, we know Darth Maul came back in the Clone Wars, but Clone Wars are not canon, you know? They're a part of the, they live in this purgatory between not canon and canon. It's not G-canon. I go on and on and on. And Schnepp's like, no, I think I heard it's canon. I'm like, no, Schnepp, you poor, dumb little thing.
Uninformed, non-canon, knowing fool.
You unwashed masses. No, it's not canon. And then, 24 hours later, the day before we released that episode, Star Wars puts out the thing. But I want to read this to you, okay? So this is from Lucasfilm, all right? Talking about the issue canon. If you don't know what canon is the official history.
And it's spelled C-A-N-O-N. There's not two N's, that's a canon. Different, son.
Yeah.
All right.
So it's the official history, all right? Now this, there's just tons of Star Wars novels, tons of Star Wars games, comic books, all this kind of stuff. So the question is, what is real in Star Wars? What is canon and what is not? And this was the Lucasfilm position on it before. I'm going to read it verbatim, okay? When it comes to the absolute G canon, the real story of Star Wars, you must turn to the 6 films themselves, episodes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. You must turn to the 6 films themselves and only the films. So no Clone Wars. But now, in this newly released statement that came out the day after I said that.
I used my Jedi powers. I was like, add the Clone Wars.
Now the statement, once again, let me read that statement again. When it comes to absolute G canon, the real story of Star Wars, you must turn to the 6 films themselves and only the films. But now, things have changed. Now it's he, being George Lucas, set the films he created as canon. This is from the official press release the other day. This includes the 6 Star Wars episodes and the many hours of content he developed and produced in Star Wars: The Clone Wars. So now Star Wars: The Clone Wars is official canon. Nothing else is. So the heir to the Empire story that we all know and love so much never happened. Chewbacca being hit by a moon and being killed by a moon never happened. The stories of Rogue Squadron and Wedge Antilles never happened. Everything that has happened in the Star Wars expanding universe up till now has never happened. However now, moving forward, there's going to be a much stricter set of guidelines and creative control over novels, video games, and everything, because moving forward, all Star Wars novels, comic books, and video games are official canon. Now, I don't think that means that they're just going to do whatever, now the movies have to align up with them. I think just that Lucasfilm is going to exert a lot more control over a video game developer who wants to make a game to make sure what they make in their game is completely in line and not contradictory with where they want to go with the movies. So that's a big shift. But one of the things that I've always said was that even though the EU expanded universe, even though the EU is not official canon, and, you know, the heir to the Empire stuff never happened, I always said that the creators of the movies moving forward are still going to be free to, even if they don't want to follow the story of Heir to the Empire, they're still free to draw on it. Now, here's a part of that official statement. We got this quote here, so let's bring up this quote. This is also about talking about the expanded universe. It's not like they've just wiped everything out, because in the press release it says this: creators of new Star Wars entertainment have full access to the rich content of the expanded universe. For example, elements of the expanded universe are included in Star Wars Rebels. The Inquisitor, the Imperial Security Bureau, Sinara Fleet Systems are story elements in the new animated series, and all of these ideas found their origin in the role-playing game material published in the 1980s. I used to play the Star Wars West End role-play. Actually, I still play the Star Wars West End role-playing game. So even though Heir to the Empire never happened. If the makers of the Star Wars movies decide, if Lucasfilm at one point decides we want Grand Admiral Thrawn, they can use Grand Admiral Thrawn. Even though the Mara Jade thing never married Luke Skywalker, that never happened, they are still free to use Mara Jade if they want to. So really, this hasn't changed much except for two things. Clone Wars is now official canon, and all new stuff moving forward is going to be official canon. Everything else is not, but still free to be used. So it's a really interesting, only interesting to those of us who are complete Star Wars geeks, granted, but this is a very interesting, this is a Declaration of Independence type of document for the Star Wars universe. This is the thing that pretty much lays out the groundwork and the rules moving forward. Right. Anyway, Dennis, you had a chance to read over this and hear about this news, your reaction to this new shift in understanding Star Wars canon.
Well, to the casual fan, which is probably 95% of the people who are going to watch Star Wars Episode 7, doesn't mean a thing. They're going to go watch the movie. They probably have seen the other 6 movies, and that's about it. But yeah, for the diehards, it's great news because now there are a set of guidelines of what is actually part of the universe. I'm a little sad because one of my favorite Star Wars stories is Knights of the Old Republic.
Yeah.
The video game.
It
has a great history. I wish that was actually part of the canon, but unfortunately, it's not.
Could be though. They could, they could take some of that. That's Sith planet.
They're free to take elements of it if they want.
And I have a feeling they will take elements from a lot of different areas. But I think what they'll do is change the names of some of those things because they don't want to associate it to that exact property. So if let's say they take the story of Heir to the Empire, they're going to change the name of certain new characters. Like maybe the twins are not twins anymore. Maybe it's just a brother and a sister, and then they'll take certain elements from it. But I don't think they're going to use the names because that's going to draw too much comparison to them.
Shep?
I was wondering, is the Star Wars Christmas special part of canon?
I believe that is the other exception.
Because it has to be, because that introduced the Wookiee planet Kaishak, and that's part of the Star Wars universe.
It introduced Boba Fett.
And he came. Then he's in all the Star Wars 4, 5, and 6. So.
And I still celebrate Life Day.
Yeah, I do too. Life Day, guys. You got to put on that Wookiee little smock thing, and hang out with Chimby and Chulpus and the Wookiee. Chewbacca's other family, Grumpy, whatever his name was. Life Day, guys. So yeah, I think they just missed putting that into the quote, but I'm sure Lucasfilm and Kathleen Kennedy, you guys will make a revision in about a week and say, the Star Wars Christmas special is also part of G canon. And my rap album, G Canon, is coming out next week. You'll be
is that with one N or 2 N's?
It's one N.
Oh, really?
It's like I'm just doing all Boba Fett freestyle. It's a full-on rap album, all Star Wars-based themes. No John Williams bites.
I'll beatbox for you.
Beatboxing by John Campea. Look for it on all the interwebs. I think it's a great thing because it's the best of both worlds. Like I, as a kid, read Splinter of the Mind's Eye. So Alan Dean Foster's weird spin-off where like Luke ended up fighting Darth Vader. That wasn't even canon back then because they were like, yeah, that didn't happen. That was in between Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back. So, then he fought Darth Vader in Empire Strikes Back. They're like, that didn't happen. So there's a lot of things that were written about Star Wars over the last 30 years that just were never part of even the expanded universe canon. They were like, that's an even weirder offshoot. Yeah. That's Yoda's weird nightmare canon. That's its own folder that no one will ever know about. So. And they also had a bunch of different Star Wars comics that Dark Horse did that were all done by different comic book artists. So they were like, hey, here's a Yoda
that
drawn
no longer exists.
Yeah, drawn by this crazy artist.
And it should be pointed to that Lucasfilm has said that they've created a new banner called Star Wars Legends. And so all that old expanded universe stuff that isn't actually canon falls under this new banner they have called Star Wars Legends. So they're great Star Wars stories. They don't just... It's just that now they're saying they don't actually really happen in the Star Wars universe, which is kind of weird to wrap your head around, but once you do. Anyway, Alicia, you saw this and heard this. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think it makes total sense for Lucasfilm to rein in this expanded universe because it was just expanding at a rapid rate. I think also it's really clever for them to put out the statement to say this before May 4th. It's coming, May 4th. More news slowly. Because it would be so impossible to make a film that took into consideration all the wealth of material that's been created over the years, the books, the comic books, the video games, the toys, the Christmas special. It's insane how much there is out there. And JJ is so good. He proved with Trek films that you could watch the film if you're not a hardcore fan and still enjoy it. Yep. If you are a hardcore fan, you could also enjoy it. And I'm also excited by the fact that over the weekend, Harrison Ford, Carrie Fisher, Mark
Yes.
Hamill, all spotted in London, right near Pinewood Studios,
Yeah.
and days before May the 4th.
And didn't they all confirm that they're also going to be? They're all taking part in the Entourage movie. I believe, yeah, I
That
believe
would
that
be
came out.
awesome.
Yeah,
That's
that all
awesome.
three of them are appearing in
With
Entourage,
Liam
which
Neeson,
just
too.
really kind of confirms that they're going to be in this.
Hey everyone, if you like this video, click that thumbs up button and make sure to subscribe to our AMC Movie News YouTube channel. It's free and helps you stay up to date with all the latest movie news, as well as our daily AMC movie talk show. Also, make sure that you follow us on Facebook and Twitter to stay up to date with all of our special promotions, contests, and prize giveaways.